Hey, fellow Goblin Chefs, it's your boy, Goblin Ramsay, Goblin Master Chef. Of course, you guys know me as the Meme King. But we're going to talk about not memes, but rather dreams. Dreams that Ash Ketchum had to be the very best that no one ever was. We're going to talk about the arena, the meta, what characters you guys should be farming early to prepare for the arena, and how the arena is going to shake up. So, quick caveat. In the very early stages of Arena, there's not going to be a lot of people playing, so it's very easy to climb up and down by spending crystals and spending money, right? The characters that you buy with money are going to be a lot better than the characters you just play with. The Nazgul 1-2 combo of Blade of the East, and I believe that this is the Southron Shadow. Yeah, these characters play really well together. Bolg and his bodyguard are pretty good. If you were fortunate enough to have the disposable income to get Gimli and the Iron Hill Guardian or whatever it was called, those guys are also a great combo. But this is going to be the single best thing in Arena right now. I'm going to show it to you, and it's not something that we actually have access to yet. So let me break this down for you. If we sort not by any of these things, but rather by unironically, and I know that we're the Goblin, we're the Goblin Chefs and the memes and the dreams and all that stuff, but here's how the game works. If you've played Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, the arena is always about, having the characters who hit really, really hard and go fast, and they do all that sort of stuff. There aren't really any good characters yet that are so much better than everything else, but what we can do is apply a strategy that is impossible to beat, right? And by impossible, it obviously hasn't been tested yet, but hear me out. If we get our Goblin Chef to level 25, which I'm about to right now, he adds a lot of survivability. If we get to dig in tier 3, Goblin Chef is not a very good healer. In the other game, you guys play like Goblin Chef's kind of a meme. But 725% healing on top of all this stuff gets pretty good. If we get him to 5, we're basically healing our entire characters. But it's not the Chef that we want to talk about. And it's not even the Batmaster, who can ramp damage quite quickly and has synergy. It's not even Quickshot, who does a lot of damage, and Thrasher, who can be quite annoying. It's the Great Goblin, who all of you guys will get for free after a couple more days of playing. But the game is very slow right now, obviously. And you only get a certain amount of time in the arena. And the Goblin, the Great Goblin, does something that I don't think anything else really does at the moment. Summons more Goblin Thrashers. And if you guys have played any of the PvE events, you know that even if you're a lot stronger, when there's so many more enemies, they start to ramp pretty quickly, and they're hard to kill because no one's really doing a ton of damage. So yes, your opponent might have spent more money or geared up a little bit more characters. Like if we hop into the arena, you'll probably see guys who are blue gear and stuff like that. And unfortunately, I think I've fallen down because as the #1 HOM-E streamer in the entire world, and I think maybe the only HOM-E streamer in the entire world, I'm getting sniped a lot. A lot of people are going in and fight me. But if I hop into a battle real quick, you'll see that like some guys are a little bit stronger. Like these guys aren't that strong, right? I could probably go in and beat this team. But if I had those goblins, not only would they kind of maybe possibly time out on defense, so I won't fall as far. When I start pumping out those goblin thrashers, it's going to be an absolute nightmare. Plus, the goblins do hit fairly hard, and they are fairly cheap to upgrade. But let's say that you're not going to run goblins because you don't have the Great Goblin, you haven't been playing the whole time, you don't have your goblins farmed up. What other things can be good to help you out in Arena? Now, obviously, having one big damage dealer, having your first blue gear is going to be important. I picked the Blade of the East because I think he's the coolest looking, and kind of a fan opinion right here. But this is kind of where the rubber hits the road. A character that is kind of slept on, but ultimately kind of important, is going to be our Northern Ranger. Our Northern Ranger, unlike early Goblin Chef, does start off with a relatively strong heal, right? We're healing for the 2 most wounded allies for 250% health, or 250 health plus 5% of the character's max health. His health is pretty sizable, so you can do 400 to 500 heals on you and 2 other characters. Plus, what he also does is he taunts. And taunting is very important because oftentimes in the very early game, you're going to go into arena battles kind of like what I did, and have like a couple of really good guys, and then a couple of your other guys maybe aren't going to be as strong, and they might be a little bit squishy. And very early game HOM-E, and just like very early game Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, having lots of useful buffs is going to be important. Like a taunt is very important. Having the character Rivendell Duelist, aka Jack, having Jack get his nimble up and running so he survives a little bit longer is going to be important. AoEs are going to be important. Healing is going to be incredibly important. So having characters that not only do things that are very useful, like survive, heal, but also taunts to let our other damage dealers and weaker allies kind of make it through the battle is going to be of the utmost importance. Now we can hop in and show you guys an arena battle here. This is Lord of the Rings, aka Load of the Rings, so it is going to be a little bit slow. But let's hop in and fight. I don't know. I think a lot of these guys are in my guild because the game is obviously in beta and not very not very fleshed out at the moment as far as the total player pool, because it's a couple of Filipino people, but mostly it's just people. It's just going to be people who have a VPN, or, like APGAINS. I took a flight to the Philippines and back because, as you guys know, I'm the richest poor person in the entire world. But maybe some other scumbags out there are VPNing. Ew, gross. Using technology to play betas early, disgusting. All right, so we're going to hop into Lord of the Rings, Heroes of Middle loading, and we're going to try a battle. Now, this is going to be slow. It's going to be painful. There's not a lot of characters that do a lot of damage, so a lot of battles are going to be slow and painful. But I will try to illustrate a couple of the points that I made leading up to this during the battle, even if, I don't have the Great Goblin and I don't have the Tier 3 heal on Goblin Chef. But I'll explain how they would have otherwise influenced the battle that will be taking place on screen to give you guys a massive advantage over the players who maybe haven't seen this video, haven't subscribed, join the Discord, the #1 Discord for HOM-E, link in the description, and generally follow the APGAINS approved farming guide. So as you see here, everyone kind of runs the same comp, so their character is a little bit more geared than ours, so they have a big advantage. But what we want to do is this guy's going to taunt, this guy's going to heal. I don't think he's level 25, but he might be. He might actually be, so they might have a big heal. So do we want to go after the weaker characters? I'm going to say we probably want to start to break down this guy. Let's get Jack to have his nimble. Now, this heal we should normally save if we have tier 3 because it's going to heal a massive amount. But as you see here, at tier 1 and tier 2, not the best thing in the world. AoE is getting out good damage. Another AoE. I kind of like how our turn meter is clocked on this team right now. Aragorn being a little bit faster character than the Nazgul. All right, so here is where we can actually heal up. They're going to taunt, if I am correct. There we go. They're going to taunt. So we're going to still have a lot of our cooldowns to go after him. And if we can take him out early, which might seem counterproductive, right? Because a lot of games, you want to go around the thick characters and kill the weaker characters. But in this game, all of the characters are relatively tuned the same. The weaker characters and the better characters kind of hit about the same, and they about do the same amount of damage. It's kind of balanced in that everyone just sucks. So what we want to do is not take out the weaker characters with less HP, but what we want to do is take out the more useful characters. Now, he heals and he taunts, which means he's going to be more annoying as the battle progresses. So if we can get him out, they don't really have much, right? This guy has a couple of AoEs and a big hit, which he might use. Goblin Chef has the ability to revive with an assistant cook and heal a little bit. I don't believe they have the tier 3. Frodo can gain stealth, and this guy is basically only good at glitching out the campaign with his bow that turns out to be take up the entire screen. You can't actually see what you're doing. So now all of their utility is out. So now we have all of the control over them. And of course, this is the AI playing, and if they were to do this on offense, they probably would have had the advantage over us. But there's nothing we can really do about how our AI plays on defense. All we can do is concern ourselves with how we fight theirs. So they obviously have tier 2, which means they're giving protection, but I don't believe I saw a big heal here. So let's just go for an AoE here. And as you can see, after their useful character is kind of dead, they don't really have any utility, and we can kind of bust them out. So we'll have Jack. If you guys want to know why he's called Jack, it's because he is kind of the only character with a nimble ability right now in the early game. And when we were streaming, I kept saying Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. So he just, that's just how he got his name. And, for the rest of the time, he'll be known as Jack, and that's okay. And you see there why buffs in the early game of this are going to be incredibly important, because when everyone does the same amount of damage, avoiding that damage is quite useful. All right, so I don't know if we're going to get another heal here. I don't know how our cooldowns are looking. Perfect. All right, so see, we still have our utility, and their utility is dead. We can do our big damage, and at this point we can auto because we're just going to cut them apart because their team doesn't really do anything except for attack. Now, just like I said, if we had the Great Goblin, we'd have more goblins all over the field, and the AI is not very good at singling out a single, gunning down a single target, right? So they'll just let the goblins spread, right? The AI will not know how to play against a character who's just mass-producing goblin thrashers, so that's going to give you a huge advantage. Upgrading the Goblin Chef is going to be huge because I'm going to just print out health, basically. I was gonna say there's a little bit of a glitch there. I was like, I don't know why he hasn't revived yet. But yeah, so their guys are pretty strong. We're relatively comparable. I think they had a little bit more gear on their middle characters. Our top end character is a little bit better than their top end character, but realistically, what we did was we used some game mechanics, took out their most useful character, and kind of went from there. Now, if you're fighting like a Great Goblin, you're going to want to obviously kill the Great Goblin first. I know it could be juicy to take out a couple of their helpful characters, but unfortunately, two of the goblins, the Batmaster and the Chef, revive themselves with other goblins, which makes them more annoying. And the Thrasher and the Lightfoot can be annoying to leave alive because they do a lot of damage, but just having the mass print of goblins from the Great Goblin is going to be quite annoying. So as you can see, basically take out whatever character is the most useful, and then basically you got it there. If you're relatively even geared, or even if they're like this guy right here who's a little bit better than I am, as long as the AI doesn't have their utility a little bit, you're going to be in a good spot. And let's just quickly make sure I can get my last 10 Aragorn shards for the day. I don't know how close we have him. Is he close? All right, so we need a little bit more. We'll be able to take him to 3 stars. That's pretty good. So if you guys enjoyed this content, please, of course, do subscribe for the #1 place for all of your HOM-E content. If you have any questions, go to the Discord. There is a questions for AP, or you can pop them in the HOM-E section of my Discord server. As always, I love you guys, and I'll see you later.